Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. Apologies on the minor glitch earlier, just like a minute or two ago. I was just checking to make sure everything was working on the camera, and we look to be good there. Okay. So after our adventure in the Twilight Inscription universe last week, we're coming back and we're going to play Astro Knights this week from Indie Boards and Cards. Probably the simplest way to think of Astro Knights is Aeon's End in space. So there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's kind of where, if you think about it like that, you're probably about 90% of the way to learning Astro Knights, I would say. Anyway, let's go ahead and meet the players tonight. First up, we've got our boss, Infurion. Special rules, we've got the artillery track to deal with. At the end of the boss's turn, if the artillery track is at 3 or higher, we do the following. Draw and resolve the top card of the artillery deck, which is right here. Then we place it in the artillery deck discard pile. Decrease the artillery track by 3, and repeat until the artillery track is at less than 3. The artillery track can't be increased past 9. When a player is exhausted, we increase the artillery track by 3. Then on player 1, the knight we've got there is Deleth. Her special ability at 4 power is to overcharge a tech, then overcharge a tech, reveal the turn order deck, and return those cards in any order. So the tech is one of the decks that we have to buy from. We've got a rotating market, unlike what we've got in Aeon's End, which is one of the things that's different. We've got it divided into 6 different groups, but I'll explain more about that when we get the market. Then our other Astro Knight, player 2, is Zack. Activate during your main phase, attack with up to 2 of your weapons without discarding them. Deleth maxes out at 3 slots, Zack maxes out at 4. Think of the weapon slots essentially as being similar to the breaches in Aeon's End. Anyway, we've got our homeworld that we're defending. Instead of Gravehold, we defend one of several different worlds. In this case, we're defending Nisarin. 3 power to charge. We can't actively charge the homeworld. There are other cards that'll let us do that. The special ability is during any player's main phase, the players power up 5 times collectively. So now we'll start flipping over the market. First up, we've got 5-cost weapon and particle cannon. Attack to deal 4 damage, and you may destroy a card in hand. Then we've got the more expensive weapons, an arc flare for 7. When you equip it, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile and deal 6 damage on attack. Then we've got the cheap weapons, Energy Glaive for 3. Attack, deal 2 damage, and gain 2 energy. Then in our energy, we've got a Chromarium Halo for 4. Fuel, gain 2 ether, and any player gains a health. Then a Nebula Wave for 3. Gain 2 energy, you may destroy a card in hand. And then what's probably the tech deck is the Bioconverter. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Any ally may draw a card and then discard a card. When something says ally, you can only use that to affect somebody else. So if Zack were to play that, he could only have Deleth be affected by that. Anyway, I think we're all set. Furion starts off with 60 health. I checked that when I did setup last night. If you're familiar with Aeon's End, you'll recognize the idea of the turn order deck, where we've got 2 cards for player 1, 2 cards for player 2, and 2 for the boss. We'll give these a quick shuffle, and then we'll jump right into the action. There we are. And our first card is a boss turn. So just like we do in Aeon's End, we resolve any activates for the level token, then for the minions, then we draw a card from the boss deck. And we've got Wrath the Conqueror coming already. When he activates, any player suffers 1 damage, or the players collectively discard 2 cards. But if Furion is level 2 or higher, do both. And I'll explain how the level up works a little bit when it becomes relevant. Next turn up is player 2, so that's over to Zack. Let's see, I'm going to use his 3 energy to give him another slot so I can equip both of his weapons. A blaster to deal 1 damage, and a tectonic repeater to attack, deal 1 damage, and I can return a weapon from my discard pile to my hand. Then we flip all of that. Then we draw his hand. And we go over to player 1. So that's over to Deleth. Let's see. Deleth will equip her blaster. And then she's got 4 ether to play with. Her replicatrix is she can either gain 1 energy or return a tech from her discard pile to her hand. In this case, she's going to grab the... she's going to grab the Chromarium Halo. I do want to get some stronger weapons. Then we'll flip over a new card. We've got a mag field for 4. Gain 2 E energy. The next time you gain a weapon this turn, you may place it on top of any ally's deck. Then for the turn order, next turn up, is player 1. So we'll start off with the blaster to blast Wrath for 1, down to 4. Then she'll equip a blaster, and she's got 4 to buy with, which is actually going to be the mag field. Then we'll flip the fuel over for an infinitum core for 6, which apparently is supposed to be in that deck. Gain 3 ether. When you gain a tech this turn, place it into your hand. And we'll flip all of that over, similar to Anne's End. When you need to draw in this game, when you run out of cards in your discard pile, you just flip your discard pile over. Okay, liking the look of the hand so far for Deleth. Player 2 over to Zach, which will blaster Wrath for 1 to bring him down to 3. Then we'll use the Tectonic Repeater to hit him again, bring him down to 2. That'll pull a weapon back to his hand. We'll pull the blaster back. Then we'll equip both of his blasters, and we've got 4 fuel to buy with, which will be an Energy Glaive for 3. Then we'll flip over to gain a Repulsor for 3, attack to deal 2 damage, and the homeworld gains 1 health. I'll move everything to the discard pile. I'm going to hold on to one of the energies since I only needed 3 this turn. 3, 4. Okay. And then just to remove any suspicion, we do have a boss turn. Okay, I will have Zach take the 1 damage since I happen to be on this side. That's the activation from Wrath. And then Furion draws an Unrelenting Onslaught. The homeworld suffers 3 damage, which brings that down to 24. And then we increase the artillery track by 1. Then we'll shuffle up the turn order deck once again. I'm trying to deal with Wrath before the boss levels up, which should be fairly easy, especially since there are still 2 more cards in the deck. Okay. And player 1. So we'll blaster Wrath for another 1, bringing him down to 1. Then we've got a total of 5 energy to buy with. Actually, 6 energy to buy with, or 5 and return a tech. But since we don't have a tech, Zach is going to gain a life, the 1 damage he took from Wrath earlier. Let's see, then for 6, I think we're going to get 3 power with that, because I have a feeling Deleth wants to be using her special ability as often as she can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I don't hate that. Then our next card is a boss turn. Wrath will hit Zach for another 1. Then we'll flip over a card, which is a Titan Land Rover, minion with 4 health. When Titan Land Rover is defeated, destroy it, which means remove it completely from the game. Activate, any player suffers 2 damage. That sounds like something that also needs to go. Player 1. Unfortunately, Deleth has no weapons prepared. She will prepare a blaster. And then she's got 5 energy to buy with, including on the mag field. She can gain 2 energy. And the next time she gains a weapon this turn, she can place it on top of any ally's deck. She will get a particle cannon that'll go on top of Zach's deck, because we want him with our weapons, and we've got another particle cannon. Especially since his special ability revolves around activating his weapons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I don't hate that, but let's see what we've got here. Boss turn. All right, Zach will take the damage from Wrath, and then Delis will take the damage from the Titan Land Rover. And we draw Titan Barrage. The player with the most slots suffers 2 damage and discards a card in hand. That's Zach, who's down to 6. He will discard a Power Core. Yeah. And then we increase the artillery track up to 2. And then I know what both of these cards are, but we'll go through them in order. We've got both Zach turns, so we'll do both of them. We'll Blaster Wrath down. Then we'll point the other blaster at the Land Rover, bringing that down to 3. Then we'll equip the Repeater, and we've got 3 energy to buy with, which that's going to be the Nebula Wave. And we've got a Heliosphere for 3. Gain 2 energy, or you may destroy this card to gain a weapon that costs 5 or less. And we'll move all of that to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for Zach's second turn, he's going to start off by blastering the Titan Land Rover down. We've had a couple of pretty dangerous minions coming up. We'll prepare the Energy Glaive and the Particle Cannon. And I've got 3 to buy with. Which 3 to buy with is going to be... I think that's going to be another slot, actually. With the Tectonic Repeater... Actually, with the Tectonic Repeater, I can return a weapon, which, yeah, I totally forgot about that. So I'll return a blaster and then prep that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Preferably Zach gets to go before the boss does. Because the problem we face right now is if the boss goes before Zach does, the Titan Land Rover is going to level up. So hopefully we can turn that into not being a big problem. But the only way we're going to know if it is a problem is to find out. So I'm just trying to find here's the reference on leveling up in the rulebook. And whoops, I forgot to plug in my normal battery. So let me get this shuffled up, and then I will plug in my charge battery that I normally use when I'm streaming. I'm using a regular battery, so hang on just a second. Sorry about that. Normally I've got a plug-in battery that I use when I'm streaming, but I totally forgot I was using a normal battery here. Just going to check the hand camera. Okay. So I shuffled the turn order deck up already, which means we'll flip over for the first turn order card. And of course, it's a boss turn. That's unfortunate. Okay, so the boss has a level up token left, which means we're on level 2. So for an instant effect, the minions in play gain 4 health. So now the Land Rover has 6 health, which Zach can kill, but I would have preferred to be able to do that before he leveled up. So now we shuffle the discard pile. Also, when we activate that, we increase the artillery track by 1. Okay, fortunately we don't activate the activate effect of the boss token when the turn it levels up, but we will activate it when the boss turn next comes up. Okay. So now we activate the Titan Land Rover, which actually we activate the Titan Land Rover. First we'll have Delith take the damage this time. That'll put her down to 2 damage. That'll put her down to 2 more damage. Then we'll flip over a card. Improvised Weaponry. Increase the artillery track by 2. Any player discards a card in hand that costs 1 or more. That's gross. So we bump that up to 4, which means we are getting hit this turn. Zach's got the Nebula Wave that costs 3. What does Delith have? Yikes. I think I'm going to hold on to the Chromarium Halo this turn. So Zach will discard the Nebula Wave, which is unfortunate. Yeah. There goes the Nebula Wave. Okay. So now we have to deal with the artillery track. I've got the artillery deck right here, which I'll give this a quick shuffle as well. Come on. There we are. Okay. So our artillery strike is a void charged mortar. The homeworld suffers 2 damage down to 22. And I'll have Delith take the damage from the void charged mortar. Any player suffers 1 damage. Next card up is player 2 over to Zach. So we'll use the particle cannon and the energy glaive to take out the Titan Land Rover, which once that's defeated, we do get to destroy it out of the game. So he's got 2 extra ether or extra energy, and I can destroy a card in hand, which I will destroy a power core, I guess. Then we'll blaster the boss and start working on that. So that'll be our first damage that we've put on Furion. Co-op Guild saying, someday I need to try this game. I will admit, Co-op Guild, that I was actually kind of surprised when I first played this game. And I actually really enjoyed it because it's basically Aeon's End in space. I'm actually thinking of bringing this down to Gen Con with me when I go next week. But we'll see how things work out there. I've got a blaster that I'll prepare, and I've got a total of 4 to buy with, because I did have the energy glaive that I used earlier. I'll actually save a power core in hand because I'm only going to use 3 to get the repulsor. Then we'll flip over a new cheap weapon. That'll be a ballistic array. Equipped to deal 1 damage and attack, deal 3. So that power core goes away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Our next turn order card is player 1. Alright, we'll start with a blaster on Furion for 1 to bring him down to 58. Then, you'll be at Gen Con. Let me know if you want to meet to play some games. What my schedule looks like right now is I've got my events lined up on Thursday. Most of my events lined up on Thursday. I do have 1 each on Friday and Saturday. We'll talk offline about that. We can talk offline a little bit later. But played Aeon's End a lot, which seems more streamlined, which is very cool. Yeah, I definitely do get a streamlined vibe out of this game. Anywho, we've got a blaster. Then we've got a total of 5 ether to buy with, and I'm going to have Delith gain the health from the... Which card is it? The Chromarium Halo. That'll bring her up to 6. I'm going to power her all the way up, but I'm not going to use it yet. Oh, that's a May. So that's 2 power, and then 3 more is... Let's see, we'll grab the Heliosphere for 3 And then we've got another heliosphere that we're replacing that with. So I'll stack it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Coming back to the turn order deck, we've got player 2. So over to Zach. We'll put another 1 damage on Fury, and I know, whoopee. Down to 57. Then we'll equip with a Tectonic Repeater, and we've got 4 to buy with, which that 4 to buy with is going to be 2 power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, that effectively turns the Tectonic Repeater off because I just had to flip my discard pile over. Then we've got a boss turn, which, I forgot to decrease the artillery track. Good thing I remembered about that, but that'll pull the artillery track back up to 2. And we've got a Titan Barrage. The player with the most slots suffers 2 damage and discards a card. That is Zach. By about a country mile. And discards a card in hand, which is going to be the Power Core. And then we increase the artillery track up to 3. So yeah, we're getting hit by artillery again. Frostbiter. Any player discards a card from their hand and suffers 1 damage. Hopefully Delta has got something that's garbage. Yes, she does. We'll discard a Power Core. And then coming over to the turn order deck, no bonus points for guessing what we've got here. Player 1. We'll start off with a blaster at... Actually, we had to decrease the artillery track. We'll start off with a blaster at Furion. Hitting him for 1. Then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 to buy with. And the next time we gain a weapon, we can put it on top of Zach's deck, which we will gain the particle cannon and put that on top of Zach's deck. And we've got the scatter beam for 6. Attack, deal 2 damage. Increase that damage by 2 for each other weapon you have equipped. Ooh. If Zach can get his hands on that, we would be in rockin' good shape. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to destroy this card to gain a card that costs 5 or less. So unfortunately, we can't destroy it to gain that scatter beam. That would be sweet if we could. Shuffling up the turn order deck, though. Whoop. As I'm dropping cards. We need to do a lot of work on Furion here. Hopefully getting Zach set up with some of his powerful weapons will help us out with that. Okay, let's see what we've got here. We've got player 1. So that brings us over to Delith. I think now I'm going to start by overcharging. I'm going to start by activating her special ability. So I'm going to overcharge a tech. I'll start off by overcharging the bioconverter. I can destroy a card in my hand or discard pile, which she will... Actually, she won't do that. Because I actually want the... Now I do have the ability to get the scatter beam. So we'll overcharge that, which will move that to the bottom of the deck. Then we'll flip the tech over again. Attack with any player's weapon without discarding it. Unfortunately, the only thing we've got equipped right now is the Tectonic Repeater, which will attack for 1 with that. And then nobody's got weapons in the discard pile, so we're not returning anything from the discard pile. Then our new tech is going to be the Psionic Tether for 5. The homeworld powers up twice. So this is what I was talking about the homeworld being not being able to actively power up the homeworld. We'll grab a blaster. Then I've got 6 to buy with total. I will have Zach gain the health from the Chromarium Halo. Let's see. We don't have any tech to return. And unfortunately, I'm 1 short of being able to get the ballistic array. But I think what I'll do here is I'm just going to have her power up 3 times. Then we'll stack it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's see. Unfortunately, well, we might be able to work with something here. Then we'll flip over from the turn order deck. We've got player 2. So Zach will attack with a Tectonic Repeater, which will do another damage to Furion. I know, la-di-da. But here's where we might be able to start doing some serious work. So we will equip all of his weapons. We've got the Energy Glaive, the Particle Cannon, and the Blaster. And a Nebula Wave, gain 2 Ether, and I may destroy a fuel card in hand. That's just going to be powering up his special ability. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I don't totally hate that. We'll flip over. We're right back to Zach. So we'll start off with the Energy Glaive for another 2 to Furion and gain a card and gain 2 energy. Then we'll hit him with the Particle Cannon for 4, and I can destroy a card in hand, which is going to be a Power Core. And then we've got a regular Blaster. Let's see, so that was 2, 6, 7 damage total, which will bring him down to 45. And I do have to remember I have 2 Ether. Actually, we'll do that. I'll equip all 3 of these weapons, and I've got a Power Core for a total of 3. That actually, you know what? The 2 Ether. I'm just going to use the 2 Ether to power up again. And then I'm going to activate Zach's special ability to attack with up to 2 of my weapons without discarding them. So I'll attack with a Particle Cannon for another 4, and then I'll destroy this Power Core. And I'll attack with the Repulsor for 2, so a total of 6, bringing Furion down to 39. And the Homeworld gains a life, bringing it up to 23. Then we'll move all of that. 1, 2, 3... 4, 5. Okay, I don't actually mind having the repeater this time. Good news and bad with the turn order deck right now. The good news is we've done a lot of damage this round. The bad news is both... I totally forgot that we should have revealed the turn order deck and returned them in any order. We've got a boss turn up first. We'll increase the artillery. I forgot the other half of Della's special ability is I can reveal the turn order deck and return them in any order I want. Then we've got Unrelenting Onslaught, which the Homeworld suffers 3 damage. And we increase the artillery track by 1. Okay, turn order. There's our second boss turn, which means we're getting hit by artillery this round. And Titan Mounted Cannon. The Homeworld suffers 4 damage. Owie. We'll feel that one in the morning. But we're getting hit by artillery again. The player with the most expensive equipped weapon discards that card. Ouch! Shuffle this card and all of the cards in the artillery discard pile face down into the deck. Well, there goes the Particle Cannon for Zach. And then we shuffle everything in the discard pile back in. That is problematic. Actually, it's more problematic that we lost the Particle Cannon. Jeez Louise. Just shuffling everything back in off camera. Although I don't totally mind that because I do have the Tectonic Repeater in Zach's hand. So I can theoretically pull the Particle Cannon back if I need it, and spoiler alert, I'm probably going to. Okay, and then the last card in the turn order deck is player 1. So the Blaster will hit Furion for 1, bringing him down to 38. Then we've got the Blaster for 1. And we've got 5 power to play with. Which I don't think I'm gaining a weapon with the mag field, so I'm not going to use that. I will get a slot. and the last power, and then I'll use that last power to overcharge a tech. So we'll start off with the Psionic Tether. The homeworld powers up twice. Then the next tech coming out is the Deflector Field. The homeworld powers up, and the homeworld gains a health. That'll bring it up to 17. And we'll activate this during Delith's main phase as well, so the players collectively power up 5 times. We'll power Zack up 4 times, and Delith once. Then we'll stack it with the mag field on the bottom, coming up first when we draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Just giving this a quick shuffle. So yeah, Co-op Guild, if you want to shoot me a message on Facebook by the name of Eric Guy, you can. We'll try to coordinate something on maybe setting something up to play at Gen Con. Because I think I'm going to be bringing this and a few other lighter games down with me. Of course, I got to bring my stuff for Arkham, since I am playing in the Arkham Horror card game event. I'm playing in it on Friday at 3 o'clock. So that's the other event I've got lined up. Anyway, coming back to business here, the turn order deck. Boss turns up first. I forgot to decrease the artillery track back up to 1. And we flip over that. Oh, great. Oh, great. Wrath is back again. So he's got 9 health. Which 5 and 4. Okay. So that's unfortunate. And player 1 is up. So I think now... do host an all-day game event Saturday. Okay. Well, depending on what game it is, Saturday is probably going to be my day to just wander the con is what I'm thinking right now. But we'll touch base on that offline. Blaster will hit Wrath for 1 because I really don't want to have to deal with him again. Although we are going to have at least one more time of getting hit by him. Let's see what we've got here. We've got a total of 4, 5, 6, 7. I will have Zack gain the health from the Chimerium Halo. Let's grab the Arc Flare for 7. And we'll flip over the expensive weapons. We've got a Warp Thrower for 7. Attack, deal 5 damage, and each ally draws a card. Remember, I mentioned this earlier, but if a card explicitly says allies, then you can't affect yourself with that. Okay. Next card in the turn order deck. Player 2, so over to Zack. We will hit Wrath for 3 damage, and the homeworld gains a health. So we've got 5 damage left on Wrath, and the homeworld gains a health up to 18. We've got the Tectonic Repeater, and 4 to buy with, which the 4 to buy with is going to be... the Deflector Field, I think. Yes. Got to try to protect the homeworld a little bit. Then we've got Magnetic Holster. Any player gains a slot. Any ally discards or equips a weapon. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you got to be kidding me. 4. Of course I'm flipping over my discard pile now. But I might actually potentially be okay with that, but I'm not sure. Well, we'll find out soon enough. Player 2, back to Zack. So we'll start off with a Tectonic Repeater. We'll aim that at Wrath for another 1. We don't have a weapon that we can return. Let's see, we've got a Nebula Wave for 2. Actually, you know what? I've got an idea here how we're going to do this. So I'm going to equip the Particle Cannons and an Energy Glaive. Then I will start off with activating his special ability. So I can attack with up to 2 of my weapons without discarding them. One of which will be the Particle Cannon, that I'll use to take out Wrath. And then I'll use the ability from the Particle Cannon to destroy a card in hand, which I'll get rid of a blaster from Zach's hand. Then I'll attack with the Energy Glaive, putting 2 damage on Furion, and that gives me 2 Ether. And I'll play the Nebula Wave to give me another 2, which I can destroy a fueled card in my hand. I'll use that to gain 2 power. Then I'll move the Nebula Wave to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I don't completely hate that once again. Then our next card up is a boss turn. Artillery track increases by 1. Then we flip over from the boss deck. Rage Knight. When we activate it, the homeworld suffers 2 damage. And then, of course, we've got player 1 on the turn order deck. Let's see. We'll equip with a blaster. Then 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've got the ability to put a weapon on top of Zach's deck if we want it. And thanks for the kind words, and hopefully we'll touch base at Gen Con Co-op. Catch you later. Let's see, what do we want to do here for 5? Well, I think we'll power up once for 2, and then we'll grab a magnetic holster for 3. And we've got the bioconverter back. Blaster's still equipped, by the way. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then we've got to shuffle up the turn order deck. We've got the boss down to 36 health. We've also got this Rage Knight that we badly need to deal with. And I've got other stuff I need to deal with, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. So what I wouldn't mind having happen here is Delith goes and then Zach goes. That way we can point a damage. That way we get the best use of damage out of this round. Let's see what we get here. We have Zach first, which I think I'm more concerned with dropping the hammer on this. I think I'm more concerned with dropping the hammer on the Rage Knight than I am about proper damage usage here. So I'll start off with a Particle Cannon for 4 damage, bringing it down to 1. Then I'll destroy a blaster in hand, since I've got a lot better weapons at this point. Like the Energy Glaive, which I'll use to take out the Rage Knight. And then I gain 2 ether for that. Then I'll point the other Particle Cannon at Furion for another 4, bringing him down to 32. Then we'll equip the Repulsor. I'll use the Deflector Field to power up the homeworld, and the homeworld will gain a life, going up to 19. And I've got a total of 4 to buy with, which will be powering up twice. Then we'll move to the discard pile like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then we'll flip over. Player 1, so that's over to Delith. We'll Blaster Furion for 1, bringing him down to 31. Then what do we have for weapons? Ooh, we've got a lot of good stuff. We'll start off by equipping the Arc Flare. We'll destroy a Power Core. Then I'll equip a Blaster. And I've got 3 to buy with. I will have Delith gain the health from the Chromarium Halo. 3 is going to be another Heliosphere, giving me a Hyperion Anomaly for 3. Gain 2 ether if you have your maximum number of slots. Gain 2 energy. If you have your maximum number of slots, gain 3 energy instead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And let's see what we've got here. We've got a boss turn. which will increase the artillery track by 1. And the card here is Thermian Barricade. Yikes. So increase the artillery track by 1. Any player suffers damage equal to the current value of the artillery track. That's 4. Ow! Dullith's going to feel that one in the morning. Fortunately, though, we do destroy this card since Furion is level 2. We also get struck by the artillery deck, though. Starless Siege Engine, the homeworld suffers 4 damage down to 15. Yowza, that was painful. Flipping over a card, we've got another boss turn. So that decreases the artillery track by 3, but back up to 2. And Fire Support Specialist with 10 health, actually. We are probably going to have to take him out. Because when he activates, he increases the artillery track by 1. And if he's level 3, any player suffers 3 damage. I would rather not have that be alive for long for obvious reasons. Player 1, Della should be able to help out with that. So we will attack that for 6 damage, and then blaster it for another 1. Then we have a magnetic holster. Any player gains a slot. Zach's going to go up to 4 slots, and then he will get to equip a weapon because any ally is explicitly stated, which will be a particle cannon he will equip. Think of equipping a weapon as prepping a spell to a breach. Then we've got 5 ether, we have 5 energy, or we can destroy the heliosphere to gain a weapon that costs 5 or less, which we're not going to do because we're going to power up, and then we're going to buy the Hyperion Anomaly. And that'll flip over to a Darkstar Aura. Gain 2 energy. You may destroy the top card of any supply deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we've got a Zach turn coming up here, just like that. So we'll start off by using the particle cannon to destroy the Fire Support Specialist, since I didn't want to deal with that for long. I could destroy a card in hand, but I don't think I'm going to. Then we'll use the Repulsor on Furion. Deal 2 damage and the homeworld gains a life. So the homeworld's up to 16. Let's see. Then we've got the Tectonic Repeater. And we've got a total of 4 to buy with, which I could destroy a fuel in hand. But I'm not going to do that because I will grab the Ballistic Array. And then we'll pick up and we'll see another Repulsor on top of that supply. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then we'll shuffle up the turn order deck. We're basically in total race mode at this point against Furion. The artillery is going to start leveling up more and more until we eventually aren't able to deal with it all. So we definitely need to work fast on killing this guy. Let's see what we can do with it, though. Player 1. Unfortunately, Delith has no weapons equipped to help out with that. What we could do here... Let's see. Next time you gain a weapon this turn. Unfortunately, we're going to be short any way we do this. So I'm going to start off by gaining 2 energy to use your special ability to overcharge a tech, then overcharge a tech. So we'll use the Bioconverter. You may destroy a card in hand, which she won't do. Zach, however, will draw a card and then discard a card. Draw, discard, which will be the Energy Glaive. When I activate the Tectonic Repeater, I'm going to end up in the same place ultimately. So the Bioconverter is gone, and we overcharge this tech as well, which is the Nexus port. The homeworld powers up, any ally powers up. The homeworld powers up. Unfortunately, Zach is already at full power, and since it specifies any ally, we can't use that on Delith. Then we'll flip over and find an Oracle Hub for 4. The homeworld powers up. Any player may destroy a card in hand. We'll equip the Blaster, and we've got 3 to buy with, but we've got the Mag Field, so we'll grab the Repulsor and put that on top of Zach's deck. Then I'll flip over to the Phase to find the Phase Shield, deal 2 damage, and the homeworld powers up. That's for 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Hopefully we're going to be able to do some serious damage here. Let's see what we've got for the turn order deck. That's a boss turn, which unfortunately there are no activated effects, so that the boss does level up. So now level 3, which means we shuffle everything in, and minions now enter play with +8 health. So actually, we increase the artillery track. Yeah. So yeah, minions now having +8 health is a huge problem, because now if we run the deck out again, we lose the game. We might be at a point where we just have to start racing the boss and hoping for the best. Unless we get something particularly dangerous that comes out. Like if that fire support minion comes out again, he's probably going to have to go. Unrelenting Onslaught. The homeworld suffers 3 damage and increase the artillery track by 1. Which means we are getting struck. Synchrotron Blaster. The player with the lowest health suffers 2 damage. That is unfortunately Delith. She's down to 1. That is a huge problem. Especially now that the artillery track is increasing so much faster. Player 1. Well, this isn't going to help. The Blaster is going to hit Furion for 1. And we'll equip the Arc Flare, which will let her destroy a power core. We need all the weapons we can find at this point, that is for sure. Blaster. And 5 to buy with. I'll have Delith gain the health from the Chromarium Halo. 5 to buy with. Yeah, we need all the weapons we can find. So that'll be a Phase Shield, which will flip over a Disruptor Pistol for 2. Attack to deal 2 damage, and you may destroy the top card of any supply deck. She's going to power up with that. And this will all move over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 2 player 2s and a Zach turn in there. Hopefully we get a Zach turn here. So, of course, we get a boss turn, which will increase the artillery track by 2 and bring out Wrath again. So now he's got 13 health. And I think, well, now we might be at a point of damage be damned. Fortunately, it is 2 Zach cards, though. We'll start off with a Tectonic Repeater to bring the boss down to 27, which will pull the Energy Glaive back to hand. Then we will discard, then we'll equip 2 Particle Cannons, an Energy Glaive. The Deflector Field, the homeworld will power up, and the homeworld will gain a health going up to 14. Let's see, Zach is then going to activate his special ability to attack with up to 2 of his weapons without discarding them. He's going to attack with the Particle Cannon. Actually, is it going to be both Particle Cannons? Yeah, we need all the damage we can find. And that's a you may destroy a card in hand. He's not going to, though. So that'll be a total of 8 damage, which will bring Furion down to 19. Then we'll activate the homeworld. Players collectively power up 5 times. 4 for Zach, 1 for Delith. Then he'll activate his special ability again, attacking with the particle cannons for another 8 damage. Bringing them down to 11. Bringing the boss down to 11. And 2 power cores that will let us power up. Doesn't really matter how we stack it, because we've got another... Well, it kind of matters how we stack this, but not... Actually, it doesn't matter how we stack them. So we'll start off... So we'll attack with... Actually, yep, we'll flip over, see it's a Zach turn. Then we'll attack with all 3 weapons, pointing everything at Furion for a total of 10 damage. He could destroy a card in hand, but he's not going to. That'll bring Furion down to 1. Then we'll equip the Ballistic Array to deal 1 more damage, and that is the last damage for Furion, and by the skin of our teeth, we have won this game. Phew! That was a tough one. We literally won that by the skin of our teeth. Furion was at level 3 and had 5 cards left in deck. So we would have gotten through another... Actually, I don't think we would have made it through another 2.5 rounds, especially with getting struck by artillery every turn. But that will do it for this playthrough of Astro Knights. We are not quite done yet, however, because I've got a pair of deliveries in earlier today. So after I clean up, we're going to go ahead and unbox all of those on the channel. Okay. Let's see, that goes there. I do want to get the starters cleared out of the way at least. Let's see. Okay. All right. Now bear with me while I start cleaning up so I can get this unboxing out of the way. All right. Let's see. Actually, that can go in the same place as well. So yeah, we definitely managed to pull that one out by the skin of our teeth. But it was very much a tough fight. Furion definitely had us on the ropes there more than a little bit. Let's see, turn order, those are Furion cards. There's the Furion artillery deck. Turn order, the homeworlds, which is also where the reference cards are going to go. Okay. That is probably cleaned up enough that I can bring the packages, bring one of the packages in shot at this point. Okay, yeah. First up, we've got this packet, this mailer that I got in from Amazon. By the feel of it, it feels like a book. So let's crack this open and see what we've got in here. In here, it's the biggest book he's ever done, but it is Black Flight, a solitaire air war game by Historic Wings and Thomas Van Hare. If you've been a regular on the channel, you know I'm a very big fan of these Historic Wings games, even though I don't play them as much as I should. I've been really liking especially my playthrough of Mag 23 Guadalcanal. I'll probably get into that during the advent of the Phoenix, but let's take a look here and see what we've got on the back. Black Flight is a solitaire air war game in a narrative style about the Royal Naval Air Service and No. 10 Naval Squadron. Set in 1917, it is the first book of the Great War series. It features a mid-sized tabletop footprint and easy-to-learn rules. Gameplay involves dice, cards, and tables. You command a full squadron in a baptism of fire in the skies over the Western Front. Designed by Thomas Van Hare, Black Flight depicts a desperate era of swirling, deadly dogfights during the First World War. Your pilots face immense challenges, combat stress, and the best that the German Imperial Air Service has, including Baron Manfred van Richthofen's famous flying circus. Welcome to the Ypres salient, the trenches, and the savage skies over no man's land. In the air you constantly turned your head, first to one side and then the other, making sure that nothing was on your tail. This, by the way, was the reason for the traditional silk scarves worn by the fighter pilots. Flight Sub-Lieutenant Raymond Collishaw, Naval 10. Okay, nice quote. We'll probably give that an open the book a little bit later. I might actually be able to do that yet tonight. I'm surprised I have how much time I have, but I do need to set up tomorrow's stream, so I'll have to keep that in mind. We've also got this package that just came in from a gentleman off of Board Game Geek. It's actually a Canada Post package, so I know it's in here, but let's crack this open and see what we've got in here. Okay. Easy does it. Alright. And in here we're greeted by Bubble, but we're also greeted by, holy cow, this is fairly heavy. We're greeted by Stealth and Sea by DVG, Italian human torpedo attacks during the Second World War. By Stealth and Sea is a solitaire or cooperative game that takes place during the Battle of the Mediterranean in the Second World War. You lead elements of a frogman unit called Decima Flottiglia Mas. Under your command, teams of frogmen pilot manned torpedoes in attacks against the Royal Navy in the heavily guarded harbors of Gibraltar, Algiers, and Alexandria. By Stealth and Sea's campaign system features all 9 key historic manned torpedo attacks by the Decima Flottiglia MAS against the Royal Navy. During the campaign, you advance your technology and train your frogmen, but the Royal Navy responds to successful attacks by improving its defenses. The remarkable accomplishments of the Decima Flottiglia MAS served as a model for other naval special forces for years after World War II. Will you be able to match these historic results, or will you succumb to the defenses of the Royal Navy? Well, we'll find out when this gets to the table, but that'll do it for this playthrough of Astro Knights. Like I said, we may have an open the book later tonight, but we'll see about that. As for what's scheduled on the channel, tomorrow we'll be at the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, to continue the 2009-10 hockey season playthrough as we turn to Inside the Crease Hockey and a game between the Anaheim Ducks and the Colorado Avalanche. Saturday morning, Mystical Munchies will finish out of the Exquisite Exandria Official Critical Role Cookbook as we make the dessert, Berry Surprise Pie. Sunday morning, we're going to start the Summer of Lovecraft for 2025 as we play Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.